Hello and welcome to another Wisdom Wednesday. Today I want to talk to you about the three main ways, really the only ways I know, to force equity in real estate. And by force equity, I mean create profit in real estate. All right. The first one, and it is the most profitable one, is buy. All right. What you buy a rental property for, all right, is going to be the thing that brings you the most profit over time. Okay. So when you buy something, you don't normally have to buy something. So you can actually dictate your price. You can be choosy. You can be picky. You can find that great deal that no one else notices. Okay. So it's the number one profitable piece of forcing equity is buy well. All right. Buy right. All right. The second is renovation. Those of you who own real estate, most of you who have probably hung your hat on renovation and covered over a multitude of sins with it, okay? If you're using your own labor, we call that our own sweat equity, you can force equity with your own time, effort, skill set, especially if you've got some sort of contracting skill, okay? You can add a lot of value, whether that's plumbing or electrical or flooring or goes on down the line. So that's one that a lot of times, especially if you get a larger portfolio, you really need to get great at this if you want to take advantage of it. Here at Redwood Construction, Redwood Companies, we have Redwood Contracting. So basically we have our own staff of people that can do all sorts of different things that we can do cheaper than if we had to go hire out to a third party. Something that we had to do as we grew because I could no longer just do the work. Okay. So number one, profitable is buy. Number two is renovation, which is the one that most people think about when they're forcing equity. The third one is the least fun, okay, but perhaps the most important, okay, and that is manage. How you manage your property. So that means, can you get somebody in your property? Can you make sure they pay, all right? Can you make sure that the rent is what it should be? You're getting the best rent you can for a property, all right? But it goes beyond just filling a unit and getting a good tenant. It's also goes into making sure that the maintenance is kept up on these properties. A lot of times what happens is real estate, it happens more often than people want to admit, it actually de-evolves and gets less valuable as time goes because the management is not up to par. Right? If you continue to delay maintenance, push off capital costs, eventually those apartments that maybe an apartment was the best in the market and an A, it does not take long for it to go from an A to a B to a C to a D to an F where no one wants it at all, okay? And especially if you manage it poorly and your properties start to devalue, you may be forced to sell because you can't meet the cash flow, the bank's calling your loans, and it really all rises and falls on management at the end. It's the least fun part, but it is the most important part to get right. If you want to be able to get out of your property, if you want to be able to make money on it at the end and all the way through. I know this was one of the pieces when I was thinking about creating a larger portfolio beyond just what my own hands could do. I realized, man, I hate managing, but it's so stinking important. So we created our own property management company. Now we manage other people's properties and manage all of my properties. And I really put a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of money, my own money into developing a great property management company so that we make sure our properties stay in the class that we want them to be in, that they don't de-evolve, and that eventually when it's time to sell everything, I'll have a really valuable portfolio rather than something that just kind of slips away in the night on me. So these are the three ways that you can force equity, okay, become profitable in real estate. And you'll want to remember these if you want to make a go at this because this is the tried and true. You make the most when you buy. Renovation is a great way to get started and force equity that way, but make sure you're managing well because it all rises and falls on the management. That's your Wisdom Wednesday. I'll see you next week.